All right. There it is. There you go. We'll hand it over to Jared. And so, pretty special treat here. We have Cloud Imperium Games CEO and Director of Star Citizen Squadron 42, Chris Roberts. Chris, how are you doing today?
Hey, Chris.
Uh-oh. Looks like... Oh,
there we go, Mike.
There we go. Should be able to...
Hello.
Ah, there we go.
Okay,
all right, fantastic. So exciting stuff. We just rewatched the source video from last night's presentation, and again, getting just a ton of feedback. Look, everybody's doing that's a salute. The 07, that's the salute chat emote, and looks like a lot of people are very excited to once again have you here on Twitch. So yeah, and again, we just rewatched it. How many viewers are we up to? Almost 4,000 viewers.
Yeah.
Just rewatched that video with us. So
fantastic.
Again,
it was a lot of fun doing it. Slightly hair raising because we do it live. So it's sometimes it can go a little differently than you planned. So there's a few moments in that demo that were actually different than we planned, but it worked out well.
Yeah, it was, again, Disco was kind of providing us some insight, some kind of behind-the-scenes commentary on how it was all set up. And there was some really fun stuff, especially the ending there. Apparently that was not...
No, that was not scripted. That was the very first time that happened. So, because normally the way it was meant to work was Glenn would get out and chase, and Melissa was driving the rover, and she would get out, and then they'd have a gunfight in the base, and then he would go get the cargo, and of course he ran out of bullets.
Right.
So then I was like, oh shit, what are we going to do? And then I was like, Chris, can you land? Because and then Chris told me afterwards, I forgot, he didn't have any guns equipped on his character, so he wouldn't have been able to get out and get involved in it. So I guess Glenn could have gotten back on the Dragonfly and used the guns on that, but I wasn't thinking about that. And so I said, Chris, can you do that? And then he shot from the freelancer, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay,
that works too.
That works. That's how you should do it. And it was actually awesome because it was like escalation, It was like, and it kind of showed it actually wasn't intentional. We were just trying to do something fun at the end, but that was like combined arms. You had on foot, you had vehicles, you had essentially aircraft.
Showcasing some new vehicles, the Drake Dragonfly.
Yeah, that was fun. The cheer at the event for that was brilliant. So.
Yeah, well, that was an excellent reveal. I mean, it was in a cargo box that opened up and just revealed what was inside.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was actually, that was when we were putting this together, because the Dragonfly was always part of the demo, and you were going to find it in the cargo hold and sort of floating there, and then you would just take it. And then Nathan Dearsley, who's our ship art director, says, no, we should put it in a box, a big, crate that says Drake on it, and then you open the box and it's there, and that'll be a better reveal. And I was like, yeah, that sounds really good. So we did it at the last minute, actually. So the last few days when I was in Winslow, which is our UK office, I was like, okay, I think we asked the artist if he could do it on Thursday or something. And then so he worked on it. We didn't get it in. Up until then, it was always sitting in the hold.
Okay.
And we didn't get it in, I think, in the box until Monday. So we were sort of testing it, and then, and there were some problems with the box in our press demos.
I see.
Some physics, because it's actually quite complicated because it's a vehicle inside another vehicle. So it's like a vehicle inside a local grid, inside the big space grid, so it's like Inception.
Right.
It's all these different levels where you go down and down and down, so it worked out great. So but I was very nervous that because if we had a server crash or a client, which occasionally can happen,
right.
We did. This was the most stable build, so we continue with fixing like bugs or issues that we saw, but our press events. We, probably ran that demo 22 times or something like that.
Okay.
And actually maybe more than that, maybe closer to 30. But we had 2 server crashes during the press demos on earlier builds.
I see.
And I think 1 client hard hang. So not a lot for the amount of times we ran it, considering, it's a long, it's
right.
like all the way through 45, 50 minutes or something. But, it's just whether you roll that dice and you come up snake's eyes. So, and we didn't, which was great, especially when we went off book, because it was like we land, and I'm like, oh look, the back of the ramp's like above the ground.
Which was fine, and I think that added a little bit of
levity. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's fun. That's what I'm saying. Well, it also just showed that it was because the actual landing before we got there We didn't really do for the press demos because we were, with the press you have less time anyway. We had about an hour for each appointment, and usually people would get there a bit late or we were running behind. So you ended up being compressed with it. But for this, for everyone out there, it was like, let's take a bit more time, and then also show off that really, because we tell it to the press that you can go anywhere on the planet, and you totally can. I'm sure once the planetary tech's in there'll be someone that will walk all the way around one of the planets,
go for a lap,
or drive
jog.
something all the way around, and you can absolutely do it. And the horizon and perspective, we don't have any draw or clip range, as I was saying last night. I mean, actually, it's pretty astonishing. The engine team in Frankfurt is a whole bunch of there's some brilliant people there. But yeah, and if we just run the planet in the editor without all the game stuff and the rest of the stuff, the planet rendering with all the beauty and everything is like at 150 plus frames a second. So
wow.
they've done some, their stuff's really fast. The slow stuff is the netcode and a bunch of the other stuff that we're sort of working on trying to make better and optimize. But yeah, there isn't. I mean, it just goes till whatever the curvature of that planet is, that is your horizon. Just like you walk outside, wherever you live, the same thing. And that's pretty cool because if you look at a lot of other games that sort of have terrain, or even some of the ones that do the procedural planets, they have a specific, you can see the draw distance and sort of things sort of come in at a certain range, and then they'll like hide it behind fog up in the distance you can't see, but there isn't any for us. Here, if you look around, and we'll show some stuff in CitizenCon that is the next level. So think of it, with vegetation, much more like a Crisis-style planet.
Okay, gotcha.
Water, oceans, all that kind of stuff. The distance stuff will look like a skybox, which is what they normally use on FPS games to see the shivers and stuff, but it won't be. It'll be actually the real terrain.
And that uses
you could walk there.
That uses the levels of details to create that look and have it where it's not so intensive data-wise.
Yeah. Well, that's what they do. So it's dynamically sort of tessellating. So the closest areas to you will have the most amount of detail.
Okay.
And then as you go away, what we call the terrain patches that are they're all dynamically generated as your camera's moving around. The terrain patches off towards the distance drop their levels of detail because you couldn't have it at the level of detail the closest up one.
Okay.
But
I'm sorry. Keep going.
No. I'm guilty of talking too much.
I just had a quick question. When you were approaching the planet for the first time, there was a ring that you passed through, and we were wondering what that might be.
Well, that was sort of a lower entry space station, so we're still playing kind of with the concepts we're going to do for the layout on 3.0, but in general, most planets you can go to that you can land on that have sort of designated landing areas like Levski or ArcCorp or whatever. We're going to have orbital space stations or spaceports.
Okay.
Because part of the other reason is you've got to quantum travel to something, so they're sort of almost like a destination. And then as you come in, it's sort of the entrance to your flight path that you go down. Now, Del Mar is a rocky planet, so we don't really care where you land on it. But if it's something like ArcCorp, it's going to be mostly covered by city.
Right.
So in that particular case, we don't want you flying your spaceship into
like a checkpoint, almost like a scan checkpoint, that kind of thing.
So it's kind of going to be like here are your entrance routes, and there'll be sort of permitted flight tunnels.
Okay.
So you have full control, and if we let you, you can go wherever you want. But the idea would be in the populated areas just to prevent players from, it wouldn't be any fun. Everyone's wandering out in ArcCorp, and someone just puts a starfarer down on them, right? And someone will definitely do that if we let them do that.
Okay.
So what we'll have is we'll sort of the sort of flight tunnels and approaches. It will be sort of space you're allowed to fly in, and then if you deviate from that over the big sort of city areas, that your ship's controls taken away from you and autopilots you back into the safe zone. And that's sort of like our a concept on how we'll sort of deal with people trolling other people in these safe areas.
Yeah.
But there'll be plenty of planets and areas that will just be open ground, and we won't have those sort of limits on where you fly. I mean, there isn't really a limit where you can fly. It's more just that's a gameplay consideration to make the experience fun for everyone instead of fun for one person.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that explanation. Something that I found most amazing about that demo last night, when I thought about it afterwards, was all the stuff that we didn't see. With it, when you actually listed all the bullet points, where there was something like 40 odd stations, and all these other locations in there, and I was thinking, well, we just saw one sort of planet area to orbit, to the wreck, and then back down again. And there's all these other new places I could go. So when you start talking about CitizenCon and seeing the next level of procedural tech, I was like, well, now I'm really excited for CitizenCon.
Well, I mean, also you got to remember that not all in right now.
Oh no,
right?
I'm sure.
There's quite a large team working hard, probably going, Chris said 40 stations. God damn it! But no, that's our plan. I mean, mostly. And probably in 3.0. You'll see more sort of duplication of like modular space stations, and then as we go further on, and we have because we're actually working on a modular space station building set, so you can sort of build up like, okay, here's a big sort of way station, here's a small little one. But the idea is that the detail that we're trying to put in the star system, like it's instead of you sort of jump into a star system and it has one space station and maybe a planet or two you can land on, and then you go on to another star system. Mm-hmm. Our idea is that the star system itself is just full of like detail. So that's why there's all these planets, landing locations, space stations. You could have like a little, small mining family with their own tiny little, whatever facility out in the middle of an asteroid field. But to sort of give variety and texture to the star system itself, because the concept would be that you should be able to, with a fully realized star system like Stanton, spend hundreds of hours playing in it. And for some games, it would be considered an amazing amount of content and player, which can have
for 100 plus hours, right?
Yeah, more star systems. Well, I mean, I think you could, as long as you want. I mean, you go fresh and trading between two planets, for instance, and stuff like that. So we based on that, and also based on the travel times, because quantum travel, even though we travel you go at 0.2 the speed of light. And we're scaling our star systems down for fun reasons. So the tech will handle us going, one-to-one scale for planetary systems and planets. But the problem is the travel times become really long. So even in that, where we've scaled, so we've basically gone with, I think, a 1/10 distance between planets is kind of how we scale things that we thought would feel about right in terms of time investment traveling, but also not taking too long. And then I think we're scaling planets on 1/4, like a quarter or 6 scale. I can't remember what we've ended up with now. For the same reasons, like how long it takes you to go from orbit down to the planet side, how long it gets you to travel. So you're just not spending forever flying and being bored. But even in that case, going from one side of the Stanton system to the other side of the Stanton system, I think it's about 40 minutes in quantum travel.
That's awesome.
So, but it won't be awesome if it's just, nothing's happening while it's happening, while you're doing it. So several things for that. Obviously for haulers, they need to, that's what you do, right? I mean, you can't instantly arrive at your destination, because then it's just an exploit. It'll be a money fountain.
Yeah, you're just going back and forth.
So with haulers, they'll get paid the most for the longest route. They get paid, sort of compensated for that, and then they're, the two things that sort of is whether you want to call it the downside or not is, they could potentially be interdicted and pulled out of quantum travel, and then they would have to fight, a pirate, whoever was attacking them, or we're also going to give stuff like we were sort of talking a little bit about item 2.0, but just also maintaining and running your ship, sort of like, okay, we need to change a fuse out on the power generator and stuff like that. So the whole item system is about, like there's sub-items, so there's a lot of like stuff in the new systems that require sort of consumable items, like you think about it as fuses or power rods or like, and so we're going to give people things to do on the bigger multi-crew ships, whether it would be in the middle of combat and you'd have to patch things up.
There we go. Someone wants a little autograph action.
There you go. All right.
There we go.
Or fix things that are sort of breaking down,
maybe the Starfarer, like on the presentation.
Definitely in the Starfarer, like the bigger ships. So like if you're really going to be cargo hauling, you can sort of do small. You'd be in the Freelancer, right?
Okay.
And then, but that will be obviously you can't take a lot of cargo in that. So the big bulk hauling will be in the bigger ships. The smaller stuff would be probably well, the freelancer will be able to travel faster than, say, the Starfarer will, like in quantum travel and stuff. So the idea would be, you take smaller amounts of goods at sort of higher speeds to do stuff. So it's sort of trade-off between, bulk or the quality of the goods. So, if you had something that was very valuable and you need to get it somewhere, then that's what a freelancer pilot could probably do for you. Right. Whereas if you got a whole bunch of iron ore that needs to go somewhere, then it would be a Hull class pilot or a Caterpillar class pilot or potentially a Starfarer if it was sort of more liquid bulk. Here we go.
Yeah, trading was listed as one of the bullet points on the slide. So we're expecting to maybe see the beginnings of the buy and sell cargo economy.
Yes, yeah. So buy and sell absolutely is going to be in 3.0. So that's kind of the foundation. There's going to be the buy and sell, and then so you can trade, you can get jobs just to haul stuff, and then all the other professions kind of come from it, which is sort of why I made light of it, because you all sort of fall out of each other. You're either getting paid to protect someone that's doing that, you're trying to take stuff away from someone that's doing that, or you're making money for going after the people that took something from doing that. And so all those systems, basically, trading, hauling, being a mercenary, bounty hunter, or a pirate, all kind of intertwined in that manner. So that's sort of what we're aiming for 3.0, and then soon after that, the next steps of stuff will be doing the mining, doing sort of search and rescue, doing why am I blitzing on this? Salvage.
Okay.
So because mining and salvage kind of go together, because mining and salvage are both essentially sort of collecting resources. So that's sort of the next tier of stuff that would come after 3.0 into like 3.1 and so on. But yeah, we're very keen on putting the big play space in there and those basic professions to just allow people to go about their jobs doing this stuff. Because right now you can goof around and you guys do a great job when you stream, doing crazy stuff, and like doing kind of stuff that I'm like, oh, that was cool, that was fun. I never thought you could do that. But yeah, there's in terms of sort of ongoing sort of systemic gameplay, there isn't that much other than sort of the aspect of having fun together and sort of having combat with each other, or just finding weird ways to interact with the physics system or whatever it would be. But that's the goal with 3.0, is to have the sort of basic game mechanics that then sort of get continued to enhance and built upon.
Would the beginnings of the job well sort of be introduced in that with those updates as well, or is that for a later date?
No, I think that is the idea is the job well would be one of our, because that's one of our simpler things to do, because that's essentially a mission board, right? So you go there and you'll be like, oh, we need someone to deal with pirates that are plaguing this area, or we need someone to take this cargo from point A to point B. So the beginnings of the job well will be in there, as well as some more sort of templated and designed missions, which was what we were showing last night, which was kind of the idea that there'll be a couple of mission givers, shady characters, or normal characters, where you can go get sort of higher level, more constructed missions, and probably more that are multi-part missions. So our mission system's built to be kind of stackable, so you can add different components together and they can link together, so it's not just I do one job. It would be like I could do one job that opens up something else, and then this escalates to this and does that. So that's kind of the idea, and some of that will be kind of systemically driven by the universe, and some of it will be authored, which was kind of what we were showing last night, was the more authored version of it, to just have content for people to have fun and play.
I see. So because last night's presentation, the basis of it was a chain of events for a mission, and in 3.0, can we expect there to be a bigger variety of missions?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
So I took one, so when I was finishing Squadron 42 shooting, which I did this year, so last year we shot most of it, but I shot another 6 weeks this year, 3 weeks in May and 3 weeks in July, and the last day of the shooting, we spent a day shooting stuff for the Persistent Universe.
Thank you, Dougie.
What's that? Anyway. Jared's doing something with the Twitch thing. I don't know. Okay. But we spent a day shooting, and so you see some of that. You actually don't. There's a lot of stuff we shot that you didn't see. And we're going to go back and shoot a bit more stuff in a month or so. that will go into 3.0. But yeah, the idea would be that would be a character like Miles Eckhart on most of the major landing locations. So Harcourt would have one, or Hurston would have one, and so on. So
and the recorded dialogue for the NPC.
Yeah, well, I mean what you saw there was turned around incredibly quickly. I shot that on July 21st.
Okay.
So
wow,
there you go.
Gotcha.
So it got turned around in about 2 or 3 weeks, but that's partly the benefit of all the work we've been doing on Squadron 42. So, and we still got a lot more work. I mean, the facial, the character, the eye, all that's still going. You can see it's significantly better than it was last year, like at the Morrow Tour stuff. But we still got a lot more work to be doing on the eye shader, the hair shader. The hair shader definitely, but also the skin shader, and also a pipeline so we can get stuff from performance into the game really quickly.
Okay.
But that's important for us because this is Universe, it's just going to have a huge quantity of stuff. And we also want to do stuff that feels kind of more dynamic or reactive. So the idea would be, based on what's happening there, we would record stuff and turn it around to the game pretty quickly. So like one of our goals would be to have, a newscaster or whatever. Right. And we're working on sort of live capture technology, so we can have whoever's our newscaster, maybe it's one of our game masters or something.
I volunteer tribute.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And what happens is, we sort of see what's happened in the game, in the universe for the last day or two, and it's like you do a news report, and then when you're in the game, you're in a bar, you see it, and it's it's the avatar speaking, but it's all taking the facial capture and the voice, and you're all in universe.
Okay.
So we're sort of planning to have that. So because one of the big goals that I want with the game once it's up and running is that it feels like it lives, right? So
right.
like my big complaint with a lot of MMOs that I've played is they feel very static, right? It's sort of like it doesn't change or move. You go in there and you get your quests and do everything and do stuff with people, but it doesn't feel like it's aging or moving along or what's happening, what the players are doing or affecting it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some, EVE kind of manages this because it's very sort of player-centric, but, places like World of Warcraft feel very static. They get an update and then it sort of changes, but then it's static until they get the next update. And so what I kind of want is not to be an update every year or 2 years. I want us to be constantly iterating and have tools to be able to sort of react to what the community's doing, because my anticipation is we're going to put a bunch of sort of systemic stuff that you can do, and then we'll have some scripted stuff. But really, a lot of the fun's going to come from the interactions between the players and what they get up to. Yeah. And you want to give them the ability to sort of affect the universe in a limited way. I mean, not in a way that the entire universe can change overnight, because that would be problematic. But enough where, if there's a battle zone going on between two bigger organizations somewhere, people hear about it and it affects things, and it would affect trade, and then you would hear about it on the news. So I kind of want to have the ability in the game to feel like it lives. That's one of the things. I mean, we're going, which is not in what we show, but age and wear as a component of all items and vehicles and clothes. So as you have something longer, it's going to wear or get dirty.
And we've seen that in the hangars a little bit, where over time the ships will get a little grungier and rustier.
Well, I don't think that's not. If that happens, that's not deliberate at the moment. Okay. We don't have that. I mean, we have the. I mean, the tech is now in for that for everything, but it's part of the item 2.0 stuff.
Okay.
But the idea would be just like in real life. Like if you got a ship, you're going to have to maintain it, keep it up, and if you don't, as it becomes less, it's longer. It has a longer life and it hasn't been maintained. It's got more wear on it. The chances of it malfunctioning or breaking down will become greater. So you don't see that right now, but that is going to be part of one item 2.0, is like the ability for items to break or misfire, and that's based on age and wear. And sort of age and wear can be mitigated by maintenance for it. And the same for characters. So we want you to have your player character and they will age. So, over time, you can see your character in the game get older. And, that's what you kind of, like, you want to feel like that's a big goal for me, is to feel sort of a history in a living universe.
Interesting. So, just going back a little bit as far as quicker turnaround. Now, I understand that Austin has the ability to do motion capture. Is that correct?
So
Or like the studios in general, the 4 main studios. Are you trying
Well,
to set it up?
so right now it doesn't because the motion capture system is sitting in the UK.
Okay.
So we shipped it over to the UK this year, and we used it actually when we were shooting some of the Squadron 42 and the PU. So the PU stuff you saw was all shot with our gear. It wasn't shot with the Imaginarium gear. It was shot at Imaginarium on their stage, but it was using our equipment, which we're sort of configuring to do quicker turnarounds. We've got the stage in Los Angeles, so we will set that up with motion capture stuff, and then we'll probably have smaller motion capture setups that people can sort of set up on an ad hoc basis at the other 3 studios. But probably for any big shooting, we would likely go and use a big stage somewhere, like we've done in the UK.
Imaginarium.
Imaginarium, yeah, or like we're talking about potentially using like at Ealing Studios or maybe Pinewood or somewhere like that, just to have a big space setup. But we don't want that all the time, because if you're just doing like the newscaster setup, I said, you don't need a big setup. The big spaces are for the scenes that you would get, say something like Squadron 42 or the next episode 2 of Squadron 42. Well, I got to go to the pop-up party. All right.
Right.
Never ends. We got a little pop-up party at the beer garden here at the Hyatt. So I don't know if you guys are coming by, or are you stuck here?
I think we're going to be here.
we're going to be slaving. All right.
Yep.
Anyway, but yeah, no. So we're going to have the ability to do that. So the equipment for the different studios will be for sort of the quicker turnaround stuff, which will be much more PU focused, and then the sort of big shoots will be focused on the single player narrative stuff, because the plan is to continue to do those. So my perfect world, if everything goes well and everyone likes what they see and we make enough money to be able to continue to do it, is that we keep we get Star Citizen, we whatever you want to call it, commercial release, but we're sort of like a living game now already. It's just we're just much earlier than you normally would start that phase at the moment, but keep that going, even after what you would consider, oh yeah, it's done. It's never really done. You're adding like more content, more characters, more ships, enhancing gameplay mechanics, maybe adding new gameplay mechanics. So continue to work on that, and then at the same time have maybe a new narrative story once a year or something.
I see.
Hopefully, I don't know. I mean, the next episode of Squadron 42 will probably be about 2 years after the first one comes out, just because of they're not small. It's much bigger than anyone I've done before.
1,200-page scripts and everything.
Yeah, it's huge. Trust me, when they play that, they're not going to feel like they got cheated at everything. It'll be if someone backed and got Star Citizen and Squadron 42 at the beginning of when we first announced it in 2012. Even though it took a while, it's going to be a deal of a century. So.
I think Jared's trying to pull you away. Chris,
okay,
thank you
Jared
so much for your time.
Jared just wants to be on the camera.
She's my boss.
Okay, well, hey guys, you're doing an awesome job.
Thank you very
so
much. Thank you for letting us come out here.
Thanks
It's
to
been
the
a
camera right there.
blast.
If you want to say bye to everyone in chat right now on Twitch.
Okay, hey, hi to everyone in chat. Thanks for listening. Hang out with these guys. Captain Richard and Bad News Baron, they rock it. So very lucky to have them part of our community, and they always show the game off in the best light, and help us find bugs too, which is always cool. So thanks guys, much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right. And you definitely will have earned some beer at the end of the day, I'll say that.
Yes.
All right, again, that was Chris Roberts, CEO of Cloud Imperium Games and director of Star Citizen Squadron 42.
Does that mean that Jared's going to come back?
I do believe so. So again, yeah.